the topic that I would like to discuss also.
I'm not for sure, but I really think it's
And when it was the Sinai revelation that Jewish accepted Torah from God, maybe you know how many time ago it was?
3,000 years.
Yes, about 3,000 years. Previous year or the year before, it was very easy to remember. It was 3,333 years ago, but it's not. Now it's more. So usually this week's parsha Bamidbar we learn in before Shavuot. Like now, this Shabbat they are reading in the synagogue. Should be reading in the synagogue, and that's why we're learning it at this week. And then the next week it's Shavuot already, and I don't have a siddur here. But so if you read the siddur, on Shavuot when we pray we say that Shavuot is the festival Matan Torateinu, when we accepted the Torah from God. That's why we celebrate in it. And today I wanted to talk about the connection with this week's parsha to the Shavuot holiday, if there is a connection. We can assume that it's not like randomly falling, because it's not only this year, but usual Bamidbar is learned before Shavuot. The book is called Bamidbar, but Midbar is a wilderness, Wuste. And what's the name of the wilderness? You know which one?
Sinai.
Sinai, right. So it's a little connected in terms of geographic, that the Sinai revelation was at Mount Sinai, and we are talking now in the Sinai wilderness, but it's not this, because the Mount Sinai is in the Sinai wilderness, but it's not the same place, right? And also here the Jewish nation was wanted to walk from the Sinai towards the Eretz Israel, right? They left Egypt and they need to enter Israel, so they're going through Sinai. And it wasn't their purpose to be in Sinai. They were just passing by, right?
It was not a straight path.
Not straight. It should have been straight, but later we will see. This is one of the topics in this book, that they didn't enter it right away, and that's what we would expect, right? Because in the book of Shemot, they accepted Torah. In the book Bamidbar is about different laws, and then Bamidbar we would expect that the Jewish nation would enter the land of Israel. It would be like the happy end, maybe the logical end also. So you learned it, you know that it's not going to happen right away. Okay, so what's the connection between this parasha and the Shavuot? So I found a midrash that connects these two themes, and it's interesting. So the question that our sages asks is why exactly we accepted Torah in the Sinai, in the mountain, and in the wilderness, and not, for example, in Egypt before we left Egypt, or it also could have been, for example, in Israel. We come in Israel, we starting to live there in the land of God, so we need to learn to accept the law and then to start like a new life. And the Sinai revelation was in between, not in Egypt and not in Israel. So why it was exactly in the wilderness, and what's the purpose of it? What's the reason? You have an idea, maybe?
It's easier to concentrate on it.
Oh,
If I've plenty of stuff around me, I get
distracts.
distracted. If you have fields to work, houses to build, relatives to visit, whatever, you do not have time. Your mind and your energy is distracted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if you are in the desert,
Then?
expecting to make a long path, with plenty of time.
Yeah, that's also when I in the bus or in the train I have time to write something, to prepare for the lesson, for example. That's a good point. And also there is a law that you need to learn Torah not only in the daytime, but also in the evening and the night. And one of the explanations is because at the night you have better concentration, you have less things to do, and you can learn more deep. That's a good point. Maybe you have your own idea why the Torah was given precisely in the wilderness and not in the land, in the settled land.
It's important to accept the law before you come in with.
Yeah, this also might be the reason. Before you are coming into the land, when you need to perform the law, you need to accept the law before it, because then it's kind of too late a little bit, and you're in the rush also. Yeah, that's good idea also. Wanted to say something about it? Comment?
Well, could have been given in Egypt.
Yes, in Egypt. That's all.
Before they left.
But it's too early, because
in order to leave, it's like a travel guide.
Travel guide.
Read this, and you know what to expect. You have the choice to stay or to go.
This is also a big topic. If they had the choice to stay.
It was not given in Mitzrayim.
Yes.
They left and did not know exactly what for.
Yes, that's important. Yes. So there are several things about it, and in our books we see it's like a good thing, and it shows loyalty, that Jewish nation was loyal to God and was ready to go with Him, even that they didn't know exactly the laws that they need to perform. That's one thing. And I want to say, so the question is, had they need to perform mitzvot in the wilderness or only in Israel? So that's also a topic that's discussed in Ramban. That's interesting. Okay, you wanted you have a lot to say today. Another thing. So there is a midrash in B'Midbar Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah. It was written about 2,000 years ago, plus minus. So why exactly the Torah was given in the wilderness? Because the wilderness is free for everyone, and so the words of Torah is free for everyone. And there is a saying in Yeshayahu, "Hoi koi tzameh lechul hamayim v'asher ein lo kesef." So Torah is also like the metaphor of Torah is water. So the prophet says you should go to the water and take it with no money. So it means the Torah, that in order to accept Torah and to pay, you don't need to pay. So that's why also the Torah was given in the wilderness, because if you want to live in the house, in the city, you need to pay rent or to buy a house or to pay taxes, right? But if you want to be in the wilderness, you don't have to pay. You can be there for free. And this is the symbol for the Torah, because the Torah is also was given to Jewish for free, and they didn't need to pay for it. There is a famous joke about it, yes?
Is it really for free?
You know, the joke about the Torah is free?
The last person said, oh, you get a lot of wonderful things if you go the path of the Torah. And on the next page, if you don't follow this path,
you need to pay.
I have some nasty things for you.
Nasty things, right. There is a joke about why we have two Torahs. We have written Torah and the oral Torah. Why we have two instead of one whole piece. So the joke says that when Jewish was accepting the Torah and talks to God about it, so God was offering them the Torah, so the Jews was asking how much it costs. So the God says that it's for free, and then the Jewish said, then we will take two. It's very famous, right? Classic. It means your question is good, but I think it means about the education, that in order to learn, like in the university or to learn German, for example, I need to pay to learn German, right? But to learn Torah, you don't need to pay, and you can accept or learn this wisdom, this knowledge for free. I think this is the meaning here. Maybe. But it's a good question. And I wanted to talk about this aspect of free, that the Torah is free. In the book of Dvarim, it says, famous saying, Torah tzevanu Moshe, Morasha Kilat Yaakov. It means that the Torah that Moshe gave us is for the whole Jewish community of Jacob, right? So it doesn't belong to some elite that learns it, and the other people, they don't know anything and can be easily manipulated, for example, right? But the Torah is for everyone, and everyone can learn it. And that's why it was given in the wilderness, to show that like that every Jewish have the same right to learn and to know like the other, and there is no like someone that is privileged and someone that have less rights. And also there is an interesting law that's connected to it. It's called mitzvah haghel. Haghel, it means that here, that every 7 years, every Jewish people need to go to the temple. So actually we need to go to the temple 3 times per year, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. But on the 7th year, there is an additional thing that's happening. It's in Dvarim, story 1, Pasuk 10. ויצר מקץ 7 שנים במועד שנת השמיטה בחג הסוכות, so at the holiday of Sukkot, בבוא כל ישראל, when all the Jewish are coming to see God at the special place, it means Moshe was told to Yehoshua that you should read this Torah before all the nation, and they would need to listen to it. and you need to gather everyone, man, woman, children, and also foreign people that live among you, ger, in order that everyone would listen, and also it means to obey the law, and they would learn, and they will have Irat Hashem, it means the fear before God, and they would perform everything that it says in this Torah. And the last thing, so it means maybe like to replicate, or to we say in German wiederholen, to repeat this experience when at Mount Sinai it was the revelation of God to the whole nation. So once per 7 years, it's also the gathering of every Jew, and also the acceptance of the whole Torah, the listening, and in this way we can feel this fear before God, and to live on the land of Israel. So this is also a mitzvah that it's about teaching the Torah for free to everyone. So we can see also here this theme, and not only to some elite people, right? And it's also connected to our days, because today we have a lot. We talked about the demonstrations and propaganda, and the knowledge of Torah. If we will talk about it, if we will spread it and discuss, so it kind of creates space, maybe a cultural place. Oh, this is Rosa. 1 moment. I've opened it. So the things that we talk about, and the things that we talk about in public, they create like the cultural context in which people are living. So I thought it's also important to talk about it now, because people get angry and irritating because of this whole propaganda of Hamas and about Gaza, and they kind of getting tired of it. So they're thinking what to do about it. So people thinking maybe we need to make like the anti-demonstration to show that we're against it. And I wanted to emphasize the disadvantage of this approach, because we talked about this early a little, but recently I talked also to Judith about it, so a little different approach. Yes. I mean, when we, you wanted to say? I'm sorry.
If somebody preaches hate, and your response is preaching hate too, the other has won.
Yes, that's
preach
my point. But what we need to talk about, if not this, but then what? This is important question that I think it's not discussed enough, because when I'm like when I'm opening some social media, Facebook or Instagram, or people are sending links to some YouTube videos. So everyone is discussing about anti-Semitism and what we can do about it and how can we approach this problem. So we can have like more simple approach that we invest in our culture, in the Torah knowledge, and just learning it. And in this way, if we make accent on it, so we creating like the other cultural space that we can live within it. And if we make it in the right way, in a beautiful way, so also other people may show interest in it and might want to join this discourse and not react too much about this negative, maybe toxic, I don't know, discourse that prevalent now. It's how I wanted to connect these two topics. And about the education, there is interesting how it was created, the system of education within the Jewish nation. And it's from Gemara Baba Batra. It says about Yoshua ben Gamla. And he did like new law about the education, and before him it was differently. So how it was before him, usually it was like think of the family. So there is a father and there is a son. So the father needs to teach the son, and then the son knows Torah, and this is like the private thing. The one that teaches his son is good, but there are also fathers that didn't teach his sons, so it's unfortunate. And this child is he have nothing to do about it, so he doesn't know, and there is a child that knows. That's how it was before. And also someone, for example, might be an orphan, so he doesn't have a father that can teach him, so he also not learning, so it's a downside for him. And this was like problematic situation, and that's why the sages decided that we need to organize the teachers that will learn with several students in public classes, and that every young man would learn from 16 or 17 years old. And that's how they did it. But then it arises another problem, because these teachers, they would build relationships with the students. So, for example, if the student would not understand, so the teacher could be angry on his student, and the student would go out, like a punishment maybe, or like argue between the teacher and the student. And then this student doesn't have an opportunity to continue learning because his teacher is angry on him. So we didn't make the system that works very good. It's like half solution, right? So after it, first it was in each region. How many regions are in Bavaria, for example? 16?
Bavaria, 7.
7. Oh, so
16. That's the number of Länder in Germany.
Okay. So, for example, we have Germany and we have 16 lands. So in every land should be a teacher. So this is like the first step, and then people from the villages would go to the big cities and learn there, right? But in the smaller towns, there was not a teacher in the first place. And then if the student would argue with the teacher at the big city, so he's going back to his town and he doesn't continue to learn. And that's why Yehoshua ben Gamliel decided that we need to organize the educational system that Torah teachers would be not just in the land, but also in each city and every settlement, and the age at which person would start learning, it's not 16, 17, but 6, 7. So a lot less. And it makes sense because at 16 and 17, the person is more grown up, so it's harder for him to accept something, and he tends to argue. And it's famous that young people are very like to argue with grown-ups, but if we'll start learning before, then children are more capable of learning, and they're more interested and less interested in arguing with the grown-ups, so it's also better. And also we can add about the reading of the Torah in the synagogues. It's also the part of this educational system that we have now this week parsha. It wasn't every time, because if we open the Torah scroll, it's we can see, for example, this text, and we can see here free space, and also here several free spaces. So there is two possibilities how can we make themes within the text. So the one is Parasha Gdola, when the previous part ends and the text doesn't go until the end of line, and the next part starts at the next line. So it's called Parasha Ptucha, and it's a bigger pause, and the smaller pause is when the text ends and the next text starts at the same line but after the big space. So it's called Parasha Stoma. So this is two pauses that we have in the Torah, and there is no pauses like at the end of sentence. It's not written here. It's, you need to learn it by heart and to know where to pause, and the text goes straight, very long text. And also we have 5 books, so between each book there are a bigger pause, and that's about it. I can show it here. So the book of Bereshit ends, and we have 4 empty lines, and then we have the book of Shemot. So that's about it. And this that we have the week portion of Torah, it was a new thing that was developed later, and it's also like an educational project that people would hear in the synagogues when they gather, would hear the portion of Chumash and learn it. So it's also this educational project. So we can end by saying that we are planning the new educational project. Recently, we have around 5 people that are interested in learning Hebrew language. So we are planning to start it after Shavuot. We don't know exactly the dates, maybe in July.
With Thomas, or is it different?
Yeah, he is one of the one that wants.
And, was unsure a moment whether it's the same group or a different one.
Yeah, but after he said, and also his friend, so we have like a critical amount that we can start to work with it, and after Shavuot we're planning to start. I don't know exactly how it would look like. I'm working on it, so it's just an announcement that we will learn it. If you want to join, we just need to understand what's the purpose of learning Hebrew, because for example, if someone wants to go to Israel or to live in Israel and to talk Hebrew there, then it's one thing. And if someone wants to read Torah, to learn, so it's a different language. So we need to decide which direction is more important to us, or maybe to combine these things. We need to think about it. So it's not decided yet. Роза, она хочет туда, пойди к ней туда.
Are there big differences between classical Hebrew and modern Hebrew?
Yes, there are differences because the language is changes in time, like any other languages. Hebrew is too. So we have written Torah, it's one language, and then we have oral Torah. It's the language is changed, the style, the dialect, and it's also affected by
Aramaic.
Yes, Aramaic language, and then after the Jewish nation left Israel, after the destruction of the temple, so they was living more and more in Babylon, in Syria, Iraq, Iran, things like this. So they were not living in Israel like before, and then they was switching to Aramaic language and talking less Hebrew. And with time, Hebrew became like the dead language that people would not spoke this language, but it's also only in sacred books, and people would talk Aramaic. And later, after this Islam, new religion, new language, so also big part of Hebrew Jewish world was talking Arabic language and written books in it. And later they moved to Europe, so they was not talking Hebrew language, right? So it's after it's only in 20th century when Jews started to come back to Israel and build settlements there, that the Zionist movement, right? It's began in the 20th century. So then they decided to like revive the language and make it not the dead language, but to speak in this language. So it was big program, big process, and they combined two things: the language from the written Torah and the language from the oral Torah, and also, of course, invented a lot of new words. So this is modern Hebrew that we have today in Israel. So this is a little different. So we need to build a learning program. So we will work on it and announce the dates. That's what I wanted to say. If you have questions, you can ask. And the Shavuot is next week, 11 June. And we're meeting, I think, later than usual at 9 p.m. And I think we will have the prayer, Kiddush, and then we will learn something like this. And then at Shavuot morning, also it should be a prayer and Kiddush. But I don't remember the numbers. I need to check the dates. So this is it for today. If you want to discuss other topics or have any questions, we can discuss. So I'm ending like this translation, or not? You decide. You tired today?
A bit.
Ah.
But I also had a private question, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So after. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you have interested in learning, so, and a lot of thoughts and ideas. So it's good. In time we can create like group environment for discussions. That's what I'm striving for. It's my intention and also my work.
And learn other languages.